Mr. Effective Evaluation Seminar Master, fellow Toastmasters and guests, I would like to make a toast to me and my shadow. I would like to make a toast to you and your shadow. I would like to make a toast to all of us and all of our shadows. Me and my shadow, we stick together like glue. Nothing can break us apart. And this, which I'm going to tell you today, is the story of how me and my shadow grew into the pair we are now. Now, we weren't always the outgoing, Toastmaster speech-giving pair we are. There was a time, just after leaving high school, when we hid in our books and our poetry, afraid of the outside world and never really leaving home. Introverted, quiet, afraid of people. But my mother, continually nagging me to get a job, one day circled a few job advertisements in the local newspaper. And I, looking at the three that she had circled, saw one that caught my eye. Charity fundraiser. I saw it and I said to myself, well, I would really like to make a difference in life. So I called up the number, spoke to the lady on the phone, and she said, come into the interview. So I went into the interview, sat down, quiet, saying nothing, and listened to what they had to say for about half an hour. And then they said, at the end, come in on Monday and we'll start training. This was my first ever job, and I barely spoke a word or even handed in a resume. I was pretty amazed. Now, what was the job? It was raising funds for children with cystic fibrosis in the bars, the cafes, the restaurants of Surfers Paradise, Broadbeach and Main Beach. On my first day at this new job, I had my initial task, which was to go to Hold's Breath at Marina Mirage. So I got there at 7 p.m. to go in and approach diners, but I sat at a bus stop just outside, quietly, in my comfort zone, in my little shell, just trying to push myself out so that I could go in and approach people, something I'd never done before. I waited there for half an hour, a whole half hour. And at 7:30, I got in, scared out of my brains, walked in, went up to the first table. Excuse me, just raising funds for kids with cystic fibrosis. And the next one, excuse me, just raising funds for kids with cystic fibrosis. And the next one, and the next one. I did this for about 15 tables, and it was hard. But after doing it for about 3 days, my care or my fear for rejection was gone. I didn't care. After a few weeks, my voice had changed. I'd walk up, confident, say, excuse me, I'm raising funds for Riley. He's 3 years old and he has cystic fibrosis. Do you have any spare change? In short, I stayed with this charity for 3 months, approaching angry diners, hearing slurs, slanders, and words you'd never hear in the Bible. But I pushed through, and even though it was difficult, by the end of this tough journey, and it was a tough journey, I had become a whole other person. I wasn't the same kid that sat at that bus stop, afraid. And now that I'm at uni, initially when I actually came to uni, just a shy 2 months afterwards, people saw me as an outgoing, confident guy. People that I met, new people, didn't know that I had once been a really shy person. However, people who knew me in high school, close friends, often tell me still that I have improved a lot. In fact, one friend said that I had improved the most of anyone that they knew. And this to me is the most important thing, because if I forget how far I have come from that little bus stop where I sat afraid, then I can forget how far I can go. And if you guys forget how far you have come to be here today at Toastmasters, you can forget, not in that sense, but you may forget how far you can go. And with that respect, a toast to me and my shadow, Mr. Toastmaster.